touch that remote. We got a great show here. Something good is happening in Norristown. Somebody is moving in town, and they're building from the old Humane Fire Company on the corner of Main and Green Street a distillery. And not only a distillery, but they're going to manufacture it there, and there's going to be tours there. There's going to be a bar there, going to be a retail store there, and this is great. It's right there in the corner of Main and Green Street. Right around the corner, it's a Center Theater. Across the street from the distillery will be a restaurant. Right now, they're fixing it up and gutting it out and going to have a restaurant, so you'll have someplace to drink, someplace to eat. You can go to the theater within one block. Okay, now, my guest today is no other than John Rochelli, right? Did I say that right?
Jay.
Jay Coley.
Jay.
Jay's the first name. What's the first name, right?
You said John. Jay.
Okay, Jay. What did I say? John? Let
You
that
said
be a
John.
lesson to you. Will you change your names over and get over here? All right. John. I said, what did I get John out of Jay?
Because John is the owner.
Oh, that's it. Okay, now, John Robert George is the owner of the distillery.
That's correct.
Right. Now, a distillery. Tell me first about you. What's the scoop on you?
Well, Hank, I came out of 32 years of the pharmaceutical industry, where I was primarily involved with marketing. Most of my career was marketing in Europe, Asia, South America, and I retired after 32 years and moved to Florida.
Right.
And so I spent my whole career in pharmaceuticals. And then John, who you referred to, invited me back up here to this area to help him with the distillery.
He's the owner of the distillery.
John is the founder.
And the distillery makes liquor.
Yes, it does.
Right?
Yes.
All right. That's good.
All kinds of spirits.
All kinds of spirits. Not the spirits that come from heaven. No. No, after you get a couple of drinks, maybe you'll think they're coming from heaven. But no, I think that's wonderful. And you're going into a historic building.
Yes.
The Humane Fire Company. So tell me something about that. Now, wait a minute. What is the name of it?
The name of the company is Five Saints Distilling.
It better be St. Anthony. It better be St. Joseph.
I wish it, there may be one of the saints by the name of Joseph, but there are definitely five saints that are associated
5 saints. Where do you come up with that?
It's an interesting story, and I'll try to make it short for you.
Yeah, please.
But
it's a half-hour show.
John George, the founder, his father was a New York State trooper up in upstate New York.
Well, we have something in common. I'm a former Norristown policeman.
Wow, okay.
So, go ahead.
And when John was 11 years old, his father had an accidental death in his car while out on patrol. And John was then raised by his father's 3 brothers, and also raised by a gentleman who has been engaged to his mother since his father's death for about 45 years. And so John felt that he was lucky to have been raised by 5 fathers. And,
isn't that wonderful?
and that's you know, and he wanted to call the company. And
in other words, the five guys that helped raise him.
The 5 guys
saints.
that helped
They
raise
are
him.
saints.
They're saints, and he wanted to call the company Five Fathers, but a major distillery had taken that name.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't available.
Well, I like this 5 saints.
Right.
Sure.
So we chatted, and we said that the fact that these other 4 brothers or fathers, besides his real father, raised him, they were saints for raising a guy like John.
You better believe it. Yeah.
So he decided to call the company and dedicate it to his father and his 4, if you will,
oh my
other
God!
fathers.
All right.
So
So
he called it 5 fathers or 5 saints.
So, where are you from?
Where am I from?
Where are you staying now?
Well, right now I'm living in Phoenixville part-time, but I hail from Florida.
Florida. Okay. All right. Now, you're moving this big operation into a firehouse that closed down. We don't have as many fires as we had before, so they closed one down. You know, just like a guy had a windmill, they took one down because they didn't have enough wind for two. Is that right? That's an old joke. That's a Social Security joke. You get that when you're 65. All right, now, why the firehouse location?
Well, we looked at a number of locations around Montgomery County, either starting out as a building from scratch or buying potential buildings. And there were prerequisites that we have to have for a distillery, and that is natural gas, public sewer, and public water. Water being the most essential, because water is an essential part of the distilling process.
Yeah, you got to watch some of these tap rooms. They watered it down a little bit, and they go to jail, take their license away. Go ahead.
So, a long story made short, of all the properties that we looked at,
in Norristown.
In Montgomery County.
Oh, in Montgomery County, okay.
We kept coming back to the firehouse, and because one, it had all the natural utilities that we wanted, but B, it had this historical significance.
Right.
And interesting enough, one of John, the founder's uncles, was a fireman in upstate New York.
You know, it looks like everything's hooking up.
It was like this was made to be. So after looking at everything, John decided the firehouse is where we should be.
Oh.
In addition, people are attracted to distilleries.
Right.
But there's also, we felt, a large group of people that would be attracted to this historical firehouse.
Right.
And so after a year of looking, John decided, let's purchase the firehouse and let's make this a distillery.
There's a winery in New Jersey where they have tours. The bus takes you there, and at the winery with the vineyard, they squeeze it, they have the barrels there, they take you a tour to show you everything, and then everybody eats a big plate of spaghetti, and the sauce, they put a little wine in it for the sauce. So you're almost the same here, right?
Right.
You're going to have tours. You're going to have the bottles. You'll be able to sell. Same thing in the winery in New Jersey. You can buy the wine as you leave. You get a full stomach of spaghetti and a little bit of wine.
Right. Well, we think there's actually a dual attraction here. We're going to give tours of the distillery.
Right.
But we're also going to create a museum in the firehouse dedicated to the Humane Fire Company.
Yeah.
And we're going to be able to give tours of the museum. So there's a dual attraction here with this locating the distillery and the firehouse.
That's great, you know, and you look forward to John Doyle. We're going to come down and film the whole operation once you get all your equipment and everything moving. Good. I think that's interesting to see how people. I know we get down Cutchock Bakery and we film the flour, mixing the flour, making the dough, making the pizza, making the babaluchis, bacalao, and everything else.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
Now, you're moving in town, right? What can we expect from your distillery, your company? What can we expect?
What can we expect? Well, let me first start by saying that what John's envision was with the firehouse and with the distillery, was a revitalization of that portion of town at 129 East Main Street.
The east end of town.
The east end of town. What can people expect? Well, one is they can expect a really first-class business. I mean, this is good. We are renovating the fire company to make it look like it was when it was built in 1887.
Right.
Secondly, we are building a first-class distillery. When people see this, we're ordering equipment, custom-made equipment out of Germany. Right. Copper stills.
They know how to make that, right?
They know how to make beer. They know how to make beer, and they probably know how to make good spirits as well.
Yeah, we'll leave the spaghetti to the Italians.
And the fire company was very kind, and as part of the agreement of sale and so forth, they left us all the historical memorabilia. So what can people expect? Well, they're going to see a distillery with beautiful equipment. They're going to enjoy a tasting room, a bar.
Good.
There's going to be a retail section where they actually can buy some Italian food products.
What do you mean Italian?
Italian. Well,
What?
because George.
Well, like what do they call
We're
that?
gonna-
Lemon Jello?
No, that's the spirit. But in the retail section, you're going to be able to buy salamis and cheeses and so forth, imported from Italy.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh my God, you got
yeah.
yourself a customer, right? Oh,
And
wait
then-
a minute, run that by me again now. You're going to have a retail, right?
It's a retail section within in the distillery, and we're going to have imported foods, preserved foods. You're not going to be able to come in there and order a spaghetti dinner.
No,
But
no.
you can come in there and order
You go
some.
across the street.
That's right. Go across the street for that. But you can order some provolone cheese. You can order some salami.
What do you mean, like cold cuts? You're going to cut, or you have to buy the whole thing?
No, we'll
Have-
probably slice it for you if you want to buy the quarter pound or pound
Yeah.
or what have
In
you.
other words, they
It's
have
going
it
to be
hanging.
hanging. Yeah, going to be hanging stuff.
Like down in South Philly, that guy has a cheese place. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to be foods that can be preserved for a while, and you can either buy them there, or you can actually, if you sit at the bar and have a drink of our spirits, you can order a cheese plate
Yeah,
with our Italian processed
Yeah.
foods.
Well, if you're going to drink any kind of spirits or anything, you want to make sure you eat something so the spirit will soak it a little
That's
bit.
right.
You don't want to just hit.
That's right.
You know,
We don't want anybody falling
don't-
out. We don't want somebody falling out on Main Street.
Right. Don't drink on an empty stomach.
That's right.
Put some pizza's the best thing because that absorbs a lot. Spaghetti be good, and then put the wine or whatever it is, and mix it up. It won't go. But if it's just empty stomach, boop, boop, beep. The next thing you know, you're bobbing and weaving.
We call it finger food. So you're going to be able
Yeah,
to either
good.
buy it and walk away with it, or you can sit at the bar and order finger food
Right,
while
right,
you're having
right.
a drink.
Right. So you're what's so great about it? So you got a lot of enthusiasm about this, right?
Well, you have to understand the micro distilling industry is where the micro brewing industry was 20 or 30 years ago. It's beginning to flourish. There right now are only about 500 to 600 micro distilleries in the entire U.S. And
We're lucky to have one here, right?
well, actually, Pennsylvania is lucky to have right now about 6 or 7. One located in Bristol, one located in Pottstown that just recently opened, and one down in Philadelphia.
This is the only one for George.
But this is the only one that's going to be, well, in Norristown that we know of.
I mean, how many does he own? Just the only one he owns?
John only owns one. I mean, this
Okay.
is going to be
So
his
all his
first.
spirits and everything and energies are there.
Yeah.
What kind of products does the distillery produce?
Well,
What kind?
our intention, or John's intention, is actually to produce, first of all, bourbon, whiskey, gin, vodka, and instead of you mentioned limoncello.
Yeah, limoncello.
we're-
Yeah, something like that.
There are a lot of people produce limoncello. We're going to produce an orange.
make our own.
No, we're going to produce an orange cello,
Orange
and we're going to use oranges
instead
from
of
Italy,
lemon.
from Italy.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, that are specially grown in Italy. So ours will be a little bit unique.
Oh, that's
limoncello.
Great. All right, now, I'm the ambassador of Norristown, the only ambassador in Pennsylvania, the only ambassador in the United States, and now you're the ambassador for this company. How come you're ambassador? What's that have to? What's your powers?
Well, when John, I have to tell you, John used to work for me in the pharmaceutical industry, and then I retired. John continued on.
What is that helpful? That background of that?
Well, I think it's helpful from a marketing background. That's where he comes from. That's where, although John has a pharmacy background as well,
Okay.
so he understands distillation. He understands the things that burn off alcohols and so forth. So, as a distiller, his background is better than mine. Mine is purely marketing, and when we were talking about me helping John out, his question, he said, "What should we call you?" And after he and I played around with it for a while, he says, "Well, let's talk about my role." And my role is, in addition to helping him start this thing,
Yeah.
once it's underway, My role is to give the tours of the distillery,
Right.
of the Firehouse Museum. It's to kind of manage the retail section. And in addition, it's to help a distribution of our product in the U.S. as well as internationally. And we are going to bring our product to the international marketplace. So we toyed around with it, and we came up with, well, you're like the spreader of goodwill.
Good.
So let's call you ambassador.
Good.
So that's
Right.
how I came up with the
So
title
that's
ambassador.
what, when they appointed me, they don't have a mayor in Norristown. They have an ambassador, which
Right.
is really a ceremonial thing. It's when some of the council can't go to a certain place, but I do a ribbon cutting. The president council, if he can't make it because most of them work and all, it's only a part-time job.
Right.
And anything, any baby, I'm not running for office or anything. So if I cut a ribbon, you know, so I'll be so happy to cut the ribbon when you're ready to
Okay.
go down
well,
there.
we'll have two ambassadors cutting
Right.
a ribbon.
But my powers as a ambassador of Norristown, I have awesome powers. If you get any parking tickets, you mention my name and pay the fine, and that's it. Okay. So-
But you don't get a reduction in that
Right.
fine, do you?
No reduction, right? Your tours. Now, what's your tours going to include?
Well, when you know people sign up for the, and by the way, this happens all across the United States. Micro distilleries attract people. There are people who literally spend their entire vacation traveling from distillery to distillery, same as you would with wineries and so forth. And so you can sign up once we get operational. You're going to be able to sign up for a distillery tour, and you'll be able to go through, and while John is distilling product, you're going to see the entire distillation process from beginning to end, and perhaps taste some of the stuff that's coming off and so forth, smell the first heads that come off of the still, the hearts, the tails, and really understand the process. Different about us is there's a second tour that you can take at our distillery, and that is on the second floor of the firehouse, you can take a tour of the Humane Firehouse and learn the entire history of the Humane Fire Company dating back to 1852. So we're going to give kind of two tours in one, if you will, depending upon what your interest is.
Right.
And
Are you going to have a big room where somebody can have a meeting? Let's say that the Lions or the Kiwanis or somebody wants to have a little meeting there.
yeah, well, on either the second floor or certainly on the third floor, we're going to call it our events floor. And eventually, it won't be immediately, but you're going to be able to rent this out for special events. If you want to have a conference, if you want to have a meeting, if you want to have a baby shower, if you want to have a bachelor party, you can go to that floor and you can do that.
Wow. Now, you know, Norristown's a county seat. People come from all over. People come to the courthouse, you know. And there will be times when they can come down. How about parking? Is that going to be a little bit of a problem or what?
Well,
you have a lot next door.
We do. And
is that yours or somebody else's?
No, that's owned by the municipality. But in our discussions when we were purchasing the building, they suggested that in addition to some parking that they're going to give us for employees, they're going to dedicate some of the, behind our building, some of the municipal parking spots that they rent out. They're going to eventually, if you will, give those to us, 12 or 15 or so of those parking spots for the tourists that come in so they don't have to pay a fee for parking.
But, so, how do you get involved? I mean, you know, George, he called you, but how come you went from one thing to another? How come?
Well,
how did you get to know? You worked with him, right? Before?
Well, John actually worked for me.
Well, how did he get involved?
He was my assistant. Well,
I know how I got the name.
You got to understand, John is a very entrepreneurial guy. This is not his first, outside of the pharmaceutical industry, he had another business that he created called Engraved to Last. It's a custom bat business.
A what?
Custom bat business. He takes baseball bats and he custom engraves them for anybody, whether it's for
Put the names and things?
your name, a slogan, whatever you want for your company. And
He does it, still do that?
he still does that.
Is he going to do that in there?
No, it's done at another location. He has a separate business. But he's
Can he have a little counter there where people want to order them?
I don't know his plans, but you might be able to order a custom bat.
We got a lot of baseball. We got about 4 baseball fields out in
That's true.
out in the park.
But anyway, he when he was in pharmacy school, he took a distilling course, and it intrigued him. So last year, around June, I'm down in Florida. I'm retired. I get a call, and John says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, other than golf, not much."
Right.
He says, "How would you like to come up here and help me open up a micro distillery?" At first I thought, you got to be joking.
Right, right.
I said, "Why?" So he explained. I've always been intrigued with it. He said, and it's a business that's growing. Right. And he said, I want to bring it to Montgomery County.
Good.
And he says, specifically, I'd like to maybe bring it to Norristown to help revitalize Norristown.
Right. Okay, now, we're talking revitalizing. How do you think this is going to be able to help vitalize Norristown?
Well, one is, it's going to attract 2 types of people. It's going to attract the locals. And let me say why I say the locals. We're going to have a bar. The new laws in Pennsylvania say that we not only can let you taste our product, you can sit at our bar and you can drink the product.
A what?
You can sit at the bar and order a cocktail with our product.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a lounge or whatever. Lots of people work in the county building and the municipal building and so forth. And what happens at the end of the workday? They leave. They go home.
Right.
They don't stay in Norristown.
That's the problem. You're right.
Okay? So now we have a lounge that they can go to. They can order a cocktail. They can order some of our finger food. Right. And if that restaurant across the street opens up,
just
they
stick
can
around
walk
a little
across
bit.
the street, stick around, and have a dinner. They can go up to the theater if they want to. So we think it's going to keep more people in town at nighttime.
Right.
Secondly, it's going to attract tourists from the surrounding area as well as out of state. People, I'm telling you, take vacations and say, we're going to tour all the micro distilleries in Pennsylvania.
Well, you know, that you could come
that
to Norristown.
revitalizes downtown.
This is really good because you can come here for a tour. You can go to the zoo. You can, and then later you can go to the casino. You know, so
Absolutely.
you have within miles there.
Right. You can shop at the biggest mall in the world, in the U.S., King of Prussia Mall. There's just so much you can do in the area if you get people into Norristown.
Well, let me ask you: has the town welcomed you yet?
Oh, I think so.
Are they working along with you?
The municipality has been very, I think, very helpful to John, to me. Really trying to work to get us in there.
That's what they're trying to do. They got the businesswoman. They got a lady in charge of business. You ever touch base with you?
Yes, her name is Jane Mosconi. She's part of the revitalization or planning department.
What's her name?
Jane Mosconi, I think is the last name.
Something like that.
I might have it wrong. But she's the municipality has been very, very helpful.
Well, you know, we're always looking for something new in town, you know, and that's why we're emphasizing the theater, because we know the theater draws different clientele. People, they like to eat before the theater, after the theater. You know, they want to just have a cocktail. You know, it's something.
If after the theater people let out, our distillery is going to be open. They can come down. They can sit at the bar and have a cocktail.
Right. So
before dinner, or before the theater, they can go into the restaurant. They can come into our distillery, have a cocktail. You know, I think it's going to be a fun.
All right. Now, what kind of ingredients we put in to make this? Okay, we don't put no spaghetti in there. We don't that there. What do you put in it?
Well,
wheat.
Most spirits, whether it's gin, vodka, bourbon, whiskey, all start with some sort of a recipe of grains.
What?
Grain. And primarily you start with the primary grain is corn.
Grain.
But then you might be adding rye. You might be adding barley. You might be adding wheat. Various grains go into whatever recipe we come up with. And although there may be, we may produce a whiskey that's purely rye. You could produce a whiskey that's purely corn.
Wow.
We're going to develop our recipes, and they will be proprietary. They will be unique to Five Saints Distilling, and they will be, in many cases, flavored. There's going to be certain flavors that we want that's going to make our product a little bit more unique than the next craft distiller.
All right. You know, I used to be a bartender. My brother had a tap room on Lafayette Street right across from the theater.
Oh,
Cisco's,
okay.
Tony Cisco.
I know where it's at.
Barter, okay. And then I tend bar down in the Wheel Pump down in Erdenheim. And my brother passed away, but he has his bar over in Flowertown, Cisco's Bar. You go in there, you'll see fight pictures, basketball, politicians, and it's just strictly hoagies and cheesesteaks and stuff. So I used to enjoy attending bar, you know, with something though. But what's your timeline now? What do you think?
Well, it's
going to be moving in.
It's kind of a long process. I mean, we've got the building. We're starting to renovate and so forth. But two major events take place that kind of stretches it out. The first is the equipment itself. The equipment itself is not bought off shelf. Our equipment has to be custom built. And the equipment that John has decided to buy is being built in Germany.
Yeah.
And that's everything. The column stills, the pot still, the fermentation tanks, everything is being built in Germany and then will be shipped over and erected. And that takes a minimum of about 7 months.
All right.
And then you have to apply for what's called the federal government license, TTB, and the PA license for distilling. And that takes, again, about 8 or 9 months.
All right.
So we see ourselves, our first batch, we hope, is going to come off of production at around October, November of next year.
All right, here.
Cheers.
Here's to the Five Saints coming to Norristown.
Share the spirits.
And the spirits. Okay, Distillery, thanks a lot for allowing us to come into your home, and keep your eyes open, read the newspaper, watch channel Comcast 28, Verizon 45, and we're going to get down there and film at the Distillery. So, Jay, thanks a lot for coming here, and we're going to be bobbing and weaving. We're going to come down and visit you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot for allowing us to come into your home, and Norristown's on the move. Okay, thank you. May God bless each and every one of you. Adios, amigos. Here's to you. This is all water.